My narcissist MIL announced my miscarriage at dinner, and I announced her affair with my ex-gay friend. I'm Emma, 32 years old, married to Brandon for 4 years, and 3 weeks ago I lost a baby I didn't even know I was carrying yet. We hadn't told anyone. We were barely 10 weeks along. I had just taken the test the morning before it happened. Brandon and I were still processing it ourselves, sitting with the shock and joy and terror of it all. We had agreed to wait until the second trimester to tell our families. Then I started bleeding at work. By the time I got to the hospital, it was over. The thing about miscarriage is that nobody prepares you for the silence after. The doctors are kind but clinical. Your husband holds your hand but doesn't know what to say. You go home to the same apartment but everything feels hollow. We took 2 days off work. We cried together. We didn't cry together. We existed in this weird limbo where grief felt too big and too small at the same time. And we definitely didn't tell anyone, especially not Brandon's mother, Patricia. Patricia is the kind of woman who wears cream-colored pantsuits to other people's weddings and somehow makes it seem classy instead of vindictive. She has this way of smiling that never reaches her eyes. Every compliment from her mouth comes with a hidden barb, like a beautiful cake with glass baked inside. When Brandon first introduced me to her, she looked me up and down and said, "Oh, how lovely." Brandon always did have eclectic taste. Eclectic, like I was a vintage lamp he picked up at a thrift store. But Brandon is an only child, and Patricia is a widow, so she's always been deeply involved in his life. Too involved. She has a key to our apartment. She calls every single day. She once rearranged our kitchen while we were at work because she didn't like how we organized our spices. The Friday after my miscarriage, Patricia called to announce she was hosting Sunday dinner. Not asking, announcing. Brandon tried to get us out of it. He really did. He told her we weren't feeling well, that we had other plans, that we needed a quiet weekend. But Patricia has this supernatural ability to steamroll over any objection. She guilt-tripped him about being alone, about how she never sees us anymore, about how she already bought the ingredients for his favorite pot roast. So Sunday evening, we drove to her house in the suburbs, this perfectly manicured colonial with a garden that looks like it belongs in a magazine. My stomach hurt the whole drive, not from the miscarriage, physically. I was recovering fine, but from the anxiety of sitting across from Patricia and pretending everything was normal. When we arrived, I realized we weren't alone. Patricia had invited Brandon's aunt Linda, his cousin Jennifer, and Jennifer's new husband Marcus. 7 people around her formal dining table, crystal wine glasses, china plates, white tablecloth. I thought it would be nice to have a family gathering, Patricia said, kissing Brandon's cheek. She looked at me and smiled. "Emma, you look tired. Are you feeling all right?" "I'm fine," I said. "Are you sure? You look pale." I forced a smile. Just a long week at work. We sat down. Patricia brought out appetizers. Everyone made small talk. Linda asked about my job. Marcus talked about his new car. Jennifer showed us photos from their honeymoon in Greece. I pushed food around my plate and tried to participate. Brandon kept glancing at me, his hand occasionally finding mine under the table. Then came the pot roast. Patricia brought it out herself, setting it in the center of the table with the pride of a woman presenting a trophy. "Before we eat," Patricia said, sitting down and folding her hands, "I want to share something." Everyone looked at her expectantly. "I've been thinking a lot about family lately, about legacy, about the importance of grandchildren." My chest tightened, and I've been praying that Brandon and Emma would give me a grandchild soon. I know they've been married 4 years now, and I was starting to worry that maybe they were having trouble, or maybe they just weren't trying. Brandon stiffened beside me. "Mom, this isn't really..." But then Patricia continued, her voice getting softer, more syrupy. "I noticed something interesting at church last Wednesday." She looked directly at me. "I saw Emma at the pharmacy, and I happened to notice what was in her basket. Pregnancy tests. A whole box of them." My blood turned to ice. So naturally I was thrilled. I thought maybe, finally, I would get the grandchild I've been waiting for. But then just this week, I ran into Emma's colleague Monica at the grocery store, and Monica mentioned very casually that Emma had missed a few days of work last week, that there had been some kind of medical emergency. "Mom," Brandon's voice was hard now. "Stop." But Patricia wasn't stopping. She was smiling, this horrible, pitying smile. So I put 2 and 2 together, and I realized what must have happened. And I just want to say, Emma, that I'm so sorry for your loss. The table went silent. Linda's fork clinked against her plate. Jennifer's eyes went wide. But Patricia continued, reaching across the table like she was going to take my hand. "These things happen, especially when the mother is stressed or not taking proper care of herself. I've read that women who work too much, who don't prioritize their health, are more likely to..." I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. "Emma," Brandon said, standing with me, but I wasn't looking at him. I was looking at Patricia, at her fake sympathetic face, at the way she was sitting there acting like she had just done something kind. "How dare you?" I said. "I'm just trying to be supportive. You had no right to announce that, to turn my pain into dinner conversation." Patricia's expression shifted. The sympathy vanished.